I'd like to call this month's meeting of Roane County Commission to order.
All rise. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. This Honorable Commissioners meeting of Roane County, Tennessee is now in session. Honorable Chairman Darrell Meadows presiding. God bless these United States, the great state of Tennessee, and this honorable court. At this time, Commissioner Mike Hook will lead us in prayer. Afterwards, please remain standing for the pledge to the American flag. Mike.
Let's bow our heads. Our good Lord, it's again that we come to you, Father, Lord, and asking God that those that are not with us this evening, Lord, that, Father, are sick, those that are in the hospital, Lord, we pray for, Father God, a touch from your hand, Lord, that they might be healed and that they might become whole. Father, those that death has knocked on the door, Father, we pray, Lord, that you'd send a comfort their way, God. Father, Lord, and Father God, just fill that void in their life. Father, and we pray, God, here this evening, Lord, that you bless each and every one that are in the sound of our voice. Lord, we all have a need tonight. But I hope one of those needs, Lord, is not having to not know you, Lord. I pray, Lord, that they all come to know you from the free pardon of sin. God, help us now. Go with us in this service, or this setting here, this commission. Help us, Lord, that we might reason together, Father, and everything done here this evening will be done according to your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. If you have a cell phone, please turn it down. Thank you.
Okay, everybody has logged in, and we do have a quorum, so the meeting will now begin. Before we get into our agenda, though, I would like to ask someone to waive the 12-day rule. We have before us now a resolution to honor the Oliver Springs Middle School football team for their state championship this year.
Sir, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do you want to do a voice vote on that, Amber?
Yes.
Okay, let's do a voice vote on that, please.
Bell?
Aye.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Mr. East?
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
Hooks?
Yes.
Meadows?
Yes?
White?
Yes.
And Wilson?
Yes.
Unanimous, correct? Okay, the 12-day rule is waived, and I'd like to recognize Commissioner White, who put this together. We started this ball rolling last night about 9 o'clock. Which was fantastic. That's great.
Mr. Woody, you want to read the proclamation? Sure.
So before the county commission is a resolution. We'll probably need a motion in a second, and here, let me go ahead and read it if I can. It's a resolution honoring the Oliver Springs Middle School football team for their winning season, whereas the Oliver Springs Middle School football team finished the regular season as a 2021 TMSSAA 2A state champion. I'll get that right in a minute. Whereas the Oliver Springs Middle School football team finished with 8 wins and 2 losses, and whereas the Oliver Springs Middle School football team are a 2020 and 2021 back-to-back state champions, and whereas head coach Wendell Jones and his assistant coaches are to be commended for their leadership and their dedication to the team, and whereas the Oliver Springs Middle School football players are to be commended for their effort and their dedication to the game. And whereas it is altogether fitting and proper that the Oliver Springs Middle School football team be honored for their performance on the football field in season play and in postseason play. Now therefore be it resolved that the Roane County Commission does hereby honor the Oliver Springs Middle School football team for their winning performance. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to to head coach Wendell Jones, assistant coach, and the Auburn Springs Middle School football team. We need a motion, bro.
You have heard the resolution. Mr. White, would you like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion, sir.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second by Commissioner East. Call the roll, please.
Bell.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Yes.
East.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Cooks.
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
That passed unanimously. Everybody, fantastic job. Congratulations.
Will you and Kevin bring them up here, please? Anybody that's involved with that football team, coaches or whatever, come on up front.
Jerry White said he remembered when he played, but back then they didn't have face guards.
Thank you, sir. No.
Is that right?
Yes.
That trophy of her too, yeah. Move on.
Get that big trophy.
There you are.
There you go.
Now, Ron, get in here.
2 years in a row, right? Yeah, how many players do you have?
Is that Damon over there?
It may be out of order, but I want to thank these coaches for their dedication. Night after night, they practiced. Some of these fellas didn't have a transportation to the ball game. These coaches picked them up and took them to the ball game, and I appreciate everything they've done for these young men, and it's paid off in 2 years' time for their state championship. Thank you.
Sir, Benny, fine.
Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes of January 10th, 2022 meeting. We have a motion to approve the minutes. So moved. Commissioner Ferguson, Wilson, do you have a second? Okay, we have a motion by Wilson, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Mr. Wilson, anything to?
No, nothing further.
Commissioner Cunningham, anything?
That's right.
Anyone else? Cast your vote.
Mr. Barry doesn't have anything. Mr. Barry doesn't have anything.
He's gonna call. Okay. Motion passes. Now bear in mind, we do have a quorum, but we have 8 here, so for anything passed, it's going to have to be unanimous.
Yes,
okay? So make sure we all understand that. Next is the acceptance of committee reports and correspondences. We have a motion by Commissioner Hooks, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hooks, anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add. Commissioner White?
no, sir.
Anyone else? Okay, let's vote. Okay, that passed, and they are accepted. Next up is notaries. Beth? How many did you say, 23?
23. Hang on.
Ah,
Emily Ashbrook, Kimberly Suzanne Boer, Kim Brennan, Melody G. Burton, Regina B. Clark, Mia Cooney, Clarence Glenn Gabriel, Adam Edward Gallagher, Johnny L. Griffin, Tammy L. Hamby, Suzanne Lynette Hamilton, J. Patrick Henry, Karen S. Hunt, Jacqueline Ruth Jennings, Jordan Levi Langford, Haley Marshall, Evelyn F. Miller, Helen Orr, Yolanda Ray, Andrea L. Sis, Tammy D. Smith, Kent T. Stevens, Tanya C. Modella, and Helen A. Whitaker.
You've heard the reading of the notaries. We have a motion to accept by Commissioner White, second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner White?
Appreciate their time and effort for Roane County.
Thank you. Commissioner Hooks?
Appreciate the willingness to serve.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Let's vote. They are approved. Very good, thank you. Next is hearing a delegation. This is the opportunity for those in the audience who want to address the commission. We ask that you come up and state your name and address for our records, and you have 3 minutes in which to talk. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, my name is Gail Okulczyk, O-K-U-L-C-Z-Y-K. I live at 861 New Hope Road in Rockland. And I wanted to address the county commission this evening because of my concerns over the article that appeared in the Roane County News for the rescue squad. I know there's two sides to every story. So what I did is I read the investigative report issued by the State of Tennessee's Comptroller's Office. And what concerned me was not the food expenditures, but it was the vehicles. So I had an opportunity to stop in at the Roane County Rescue Squad facility and speak with the treasurer and 2 of the volunteers. I concluded that the complaint actually did the Roane County Rescue Squad a favor, I think. This is my opinion. And I sent my commissioners an email expressing the things that I thought were critical to the county and critical to the donors. Recently, I was able to speak with the Roane County Rescue Squad chief, and I got the corrective actions. In conclusion, the Roane County Rescue Squad should have their funding restored. This is a critical function to the county. The Roane County Rescue Squad is a volunteer organization. Many people that move to Roane County don't realize that it's a volunteer because the counties that they come from, that is, kind of included with their fire department and other things. Many of you know it takes a special person, whether you're elected or you're volunteer, to serve our county, and that's appreciated. Residents should understand that, that these people work very hard. They're on call all hours of the day and night. They come when you need them, and that's really appreciated. So what the investigation really did is it provided a process improvement. And I think that based on my conversations with the treasurer and with the chief, I think that those improvements will be made. I had an opportunity to give them some feedback on their corrective actions, which I did so today, and I sent it to 2 of my commissioners. I can give you a copy, Betty. Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
My name is Janine Reed, and I'm at 134 Maple Lane in Kingston. I want to speak to the broadband issue that I believe is in front of the commission tonight. I'm a stranger to all of you, but I'm not a stranger to Roane County. My parents married in 1952 and they moved to Roane County. They built their house on Rosedale Avenue, if you know where that is, behind McDonald's. In 1958, they built their dream home on Watts Bar Lake, and they passed away last year in their 90s, and they left me their house. So even though I grew up here, I graduated Roane County High in 1979. I moved away, I went to college, had a family, had a career and all that. I moved back here last year after they passed away to move into their house. And I love Roane County, but the one thing I don't love, I found out quickly, is I don't have access to broadband. And of course, where I lived before, I did have access to broadband. And basically, I've realized how critical it is now that I don't have it. Going to the grocery store, McDonald's, or Starbucks does not work. Broadband is essential in modern life. It's not a luxury, it's a necessary utility. And I know TVA was founded to provide affordable electrical power to this area back in the early 1900s. We're at the same place now here in Roane County with this utility broadband service. I have a small business. I can't successfully run that from my home. Entertainment, gaming, things like that, I can't do. Had a son who came home from college. He couldn't do his work. He had to go sit at the Starbucks. My daughter, who's a traveling nurse, she had to take 27 tests for her next hospital in Nashville. Our internet service was way too spotty for her to do that, so she also had to go sit in the Starbucks for a couple days to finish those tests. So, my husband and I also own a small business. It's 90 miles south of the Canadian border in northern Minnesota. Why do I mention that? I mention that because we live 5 miles outside of a town of less than 500 people, and yet we have high-speed internet. That town is 1/12 the population, that county is 1/12 the population of this county, but it's 9 times the size. And I know that there's different geographic and economic and political issues in northern Minnesota than we have here in Roane County, but that utility is just as critical there to those people who live in a rural, extreme environment as it is here. And so I'm hoping that these proposals that are for you, that you'll take them seriously and help those of us in neighborhoods like mine who don't have access to broadband, and make sure that we stay up with the rest of Tennessee and the rest of the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, my name is John Reynolds, 11273 Wolf Creek Road in Kingston, East Roane County. I want to echo her comments regarding the broadband resolution specifically for Comcast on the east part of the county. Again, I'd like to echo her comments about the struggle we all have, specifically in the pandemic we are still in the middle of, which requires a lot of alternative teleworking, telehealth, you name it. But I want to emphasize, and to give you an example, data, real quickly, on how slow what we currently have in East Roane County is. And specifically, it's the old-fashioned DSL, or cable internet, which is through a copper wire. Everybody knows that carries electricity. That's an old school approach. Fiber optic, which is what's, I think, before the commission, is much faster. It carries light. The speed difference between the two we currently enjoy, or we would enjoy with fiber optic being installed in Roane County, is 1,000 megabits per second compared to 6 for DSL. So my wife, a project chemist who teleworks, she works from home, her requirement as a project chemist is to upload data. You have to think about downloading and uploading when you're using the internet. We take it for granted. We pull our phones out, pull our iPads, our tablets, our laptops at home. So it's one thing to stream and watch a YouTube video or send an email to work. It's another thing to upload a file, to send a PDF or a large file to someone else, such as your work teammate. So legislation is pending within the FCC to increase minimum standards, but the current speed that we're getting in my neck of the woods is a fraction of what we need to be productive. I think the stat that I saw in a recent video specific to this resolution that's before the commission was that only 74.65% of rural Roane County homes and businesses have access to high-speed broadband internet compared to 99% for urban areas, Kingston city limits, think Kingston, Harriman, Rockwood, Olive Springs. So I live on a farm that that's been in my wife's family's generations for years. We built our dream home there. We don't want to move. We want access. It sort of feels like we're in the Bermuda Triangle at times when we don't have access. And we've had kids going through school during the pandemic that have had access issues getting their schoolwork done. Our daughter's a sophomore in Tusculum College. When she came home last year, she couldn't get her work done. Same example she gave. She had to go to the local store to get a Wi-Fi. So I appreciate your consideration of voting yes, specifically to the resolutions 02-2215. The current pandemic has certainly put a magnifying glass on this issue. It's our time to act now. Appreciate your support, and I wish you all a happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Roberta Dennis, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the issue again last month. Recently I spoke about the issue of voter integrity. It's not something you just kind of throw around. It's got to be taken very, very seriously. Mike Lindell, which some people know him as the Palo guy, very, very well to do, but you know, it really ticked him off about what happened in November 2020, that being the election of someone that didn't come out of the basement, referring to Commander-in-Chief Colin Biden. Now, one of the problems that we have with our elections not being as clean as they need to be, in some cases downright horrible. We can lose a president. That's what happened in November. And there's enough documentation out there. There's 3. I wanted to get out something to you in writing, which I was not able to do. I had some printer problems. But I will tell you and give you a heads up, if you want to check out, I would use DuckDuckGo for less censorship than Google. We know Google has participated in censoring the President of the United States. It's hard to believe that we live in a country where you can actually take away the voice of the President. But that's what happened with Google, that's what happened with Twitter. And it's a problem for Democrats and Republicans. It's not just a Republican or conservative or left or right. What are left and right means, because I know a lot of pro-life Democrats, and there are some pro-abortion Republicans, but mostly the conservative movement is pro-life or protecting the unborn. We've got to take this voter integrity seriously, and you have to get involved. I went to, I'll give you just one example today. When I got 2 letters over the years that stated that someone had voted and used my address. I didn't know who they were. I've known everybody in that house since 1970, because my family moved here in 1970. And we've been the family 90% of the time in this house. So these names show up. I don't know who they are. I go to our election commission, and that office, it said on the envelope it came from there. They verified that it did come from there, and I said, I'd like to see, you know, what was addressed. And they would not. They claimed that they don't have any way of finding that out in their own office, and it was mailed from that office. Is that a problem? I guarantee it is. You get a no, and you get a, they can't give you any more information than the name of a man or a woman that says they're a felon and they can't vote, but they voted for your house. I call that a problem. That's just one. I named the other problem last time I was here, and you know what it was. Me trying to do that voter identification, voter, what do we call it, survey, and get cut off at the knees. That's what I have to say. My time's up.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Thank you for coming. Let's see, next we have, County Attorney's Report. Mr. Lefevue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have court tomorrow on 9 of our property cases, and we have not been able to close on the Gallagher Road ambulance station property yet. One of the owners that we're purchasing from has a lien against the property that they're working to get released, so we have extended both of the contracts. And that is my report.
How long are the contracts extended for?
They're extended, as I recall, to February 22, so we may have to extend them again. I don't anticipate any problems, though. We have 2 willing sellers.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Lefevue? Thank you.
Thank you.
County Executive's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of things I'd like to mention. Under our committee reports and correspondence, you had a report from the Comptroller's Office that was kind of a snapshot of our annual financial report. And along with that, Connie had passed out the popular annual financial report. I don't know how it got the name popular, but that's what it's called in all of our counties and across the nation, I think. So there's some good information in both of these. A couple I want to mention. I love the snapshot picture that's on your tablet. It shows two a bar graph with two components on it in a line chart. The red one is our county debt at this time, and of course, 2010, that was about $55 million, and now we're down to about 28. As we look, we do a 30-year debt budget. As you look out about 3 more years, it substantially drops down. The other is the expenditures are in the blue bar or gray. The revenue is the red line. As you can see, we touched in 2019, we touched in 2020, and our revenue is a little bit above what it was in 2021 from that standpoint. So we're running about $110 million budget. I noticed in one of the tables that it was talking about our per capita income. We're probably one of the lowest around right now. It is about $500 per person. One part of the county is $499, the other is $535. Our debt service makes about 6% of the budget, but what I think we can really celebrate that's taken place in the last number of years is that our capital expenditures last year were 13% of the budget. So we finally have flipped, and we're really investing in keeping our current assets current and in good shape instead of borrowing a lot of debt. So Connie put this out. There's a lot of information in it. Make sure you check it. And then, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have on my report. We have a couple of resolutions I'd probably would like to speak to when we come to those.
Thank you. Good. Ms. First.
Mr. Woody,
Sir.
Greg answered one of the questions I was going to ask, but the other was, how's the ambulance service coming over to South Harriman where we purchased that land? I know.
So I think that the sheriff has his crew that started over there maybe today working, started buying some materials last week. So hopefully that will, we can be in that building probably within 4 weeks, I'm hoping.
Any other questions for Mr. Woody? Any other questions? Thank you. Before we get to special orders, we had a meeting at 6:30 tonight regarding replacing Stanley Moore, and there was not a quorum here at the time, so no business could be transacted. So that will be deferred until next month. There will be published in the paper, and I foresee it being at a similar meeting at 6:30 prior to our next commission meeting. So just wanted to let everybody know. Next up is special orders. Special order number 1 is confirmation of reappointment of Larry Clark to the Roane County Board of Public Utilities. The new term will expire June 30th, 2024. We have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Wilson?
No, I think he's done a good job. No problem. Nothing further.
Commissioner White?
Nothing to add, sir.
Anyone else? Okay, let's cast our vote. Mr. Clark is approved. Special order number 2, confirmation of reappointment of Jim Palmer to the Industrial Development Board, Health, Education, and Housing Facilities Board. The new term will expire February 28th, 2028. We have a motion by Commissioner Hooks, second by Commissioner Bell. Commissioner Hooks?
Well, I won't say how old that Jim is or how old that I am, but I had the pleasure of Benny and I in Macon appointing him years ago to the industrial board, and I'm just honored that he's still willing to serve. Very knowledgeable individual, and Roane County has an asset.
Commissioner Bell.
Appreciate his service.
Anyone else? Okay, let's vote on Mr. Palmer. He is reappointed. Special Order 3, confirmation of reappointment of Bob Kite to the Industrial Development Board, Health, Education, and Facilities, and Housing Facilities Board. The new term will expire February 28th, 2028. We have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Wilson.
You know, he's done a good job serving so far. I support him.
Commissioner Hooks.
Says a lot when you want to be real.
It does, doesn't it? Glad for punishment. Okay, well, thank you very much for those motions. Let's vote on Mr. Kite. He is reappointed. Last special order is confirmation of reappointment of Joe Heckman to the Industrial Development Board, Health, Education, and Housing Facilities Board. The new term will expire February 28th, 2028. We have a motion by Commissioner Bell, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Commissioner Bell.
Glad to have him.
Commissioner Cunningham.
Does a great job, glad he's coming back.
Anyone else? Okay, let's vote on Mr. Heckman. He is reappointed as well. Next on the agenda is zoning resolutions. First is resolution number 0222-01Z. And that's a resolution of Roane County Planning Commission recommending action by the Roane County Legislative Commission on a resolution amending the Roane County zoning map as requested by Stacy Sharp to rezone map 036 parcel 039.01 from A2 developing agriculture to C1 general commercial. This comes to us with a recommendation to leave it as is, which in effect would be a denial of the request. So if you want to leave it as is, then you would vote yes on this, correct, Mr. Lakeview? So everybody understand that?
That was the recommendation.
I'll leave it under action.
To deny.
But we still have to vote on it. It comes to the recommendation not to approve, but to not to approve, we agree with it. We basically say yes by agreeing with their recommendation. Everybody understand how it's kind of worded?
The adoption of the resolution leaves it where it's at.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
Which is the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Ferguson, second by Bell. Commissioner Ferguson.
Darrell, I'd like to let Lynn explain that. I'm on the planning commission, and we did deny that. I'd like Lynn to explain.
Mr. Cuthbert.
Yeah, this piece of property, we found out that it was being converted and put a stop work order on it. And he come and requested the rezone. Planning Commission unanimously sent a recommendation of denial to not rezone.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Cuthbert?
So even though it fails at planning commission, we still have to vote it down?
Yes, sir.
And it comes
But
to-
we've reworded it, so if we vote it up, it's voting it down.
It comes to us with a recommendation to decline, so if we say yes, we're agreeing.
Yes, that's correct. Then we'll
Glenn, I think we voted on that, some kind of spot zone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The biggest issue.
Yeah, it is textbook spot zoning,
What are they trying to do?
campground. 4-spot campground.
4-spot? Is that the, look, I think I read it had 4 paths of some sort. Okay. Okay, we have a motion and we have a second.
Nothing further.
Let's vote. Everyone voted yes, so it's going to stay as it is right now. Next is zoning resolution number 02-22-02Z. And it's a resolution of Roane County Planning Commission recommending action by the Roane County Legislative Commission on a resolution amending Roane County zoning map as requested by Joseph Rogers to rezone map 035 Group E parcel 009.00. I guess is that through parcels 012-00 from A2 developing agriculture to R3 multiple family residential. And it's my understanding that would recommend be
Unanimously recommended
approved by us.
Yes.
What are they doing there?
Going to be multifamily dwelling apartments.
Nothing further.
Okay, so nothing further. Mr. Ferguson, anything?
Glenn very well explained it. We passed unanimously as a planning commission.
You have questions? Now this one, if we want to approve the change, this would require a yes vote. Is that correct, Mr. Blakely? Yes. A little different than the last one. Okay. Let's vote. It passes. Thank you. Zoning changes. We're now under old business. Resolution number 11-21-02. A resolution to give notice of termination of license agreement for occupancy and use of TVA land. This is where we want to get out of our agreement, or
This is Swan Pond
this is
property.
Swan Pond property where we would terminate our agreement with TVA for the lease. Is that correct, Mr. Wood?
Yes, and that would allow a city then to negotiate a lease with TVA.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Bell, second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Bell.
Nothing further.
Commissioner Hooks?
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Wilson?
Budget committee.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
So let me get this straight. If we terminate this lease agreement with TVA, and we don't have, and in lieu of action, and just in case that the city falls through with their negotiation, are we then ceasing action with everything? That's what we'd be doing, correct?
We have a license with TVA to operate that. If we cease, if we ask to get out of the license, then it will allow Harriman or Kingston, whomever, to negotiate with TVA to operate that. If in fact, I guess that they could not get to a reasonable, agreement, we could probably ask TVA to come back in and let us operate again. But there again, we have a license now. I think it's either a 60 or 30 or 60 day that either party can terminate or ask for a termination. So it just so happened that negotiation is hard to take place if you have a party that has the agreement.
That's true, but do we want to completely, we would be back in negotiations and requesting they can be in denial. Right now, we use it for soccer fields, we use it for different things. More power to them if a city takes it over and is successful with that renegotiation of the lease agreement. But to the county attorney, is there a wording that we could put in that if that was to fail to amend this resolution to move forward with keeping the property and maintaining?
No. Under this license, you either accept the license and continue operating, or you have the option to cancel the license upon giving TVA 60 days notice. But those are your only two options under the license agreement.
And was this under, so I just want to be really careful with this because there's so many people using it. Is this under the direction of TVA or is this from ourselves to go this route? I understand that you have to be out of the lease agreement, but there's no way to amend this, I'm understanding.
The county can either continue operating it or send notice of termination. Now, if a city does not work out an agreement with TVA, then the county will have to try to enter into another license agreement with TVA.
Will that be a problem?
I personally don't think it'll be a problem. TVA had even asked us when we started running this part of it if we would take a Lakeshore Park. They were wanting to give us, it seemed like $130,000. And I said, no, we don't want to try to consume too much of it. So I don't see TVA, basically, if we exit it, TVA may want to run it, and that would be okay with us too, but I would think that they would still look back to us to see if we wanted to enter into another lease agreement.
And do we have cities or a city that is interested in?
We've had two cities and one particularly that has been in some discussion with TVA, but it was hard for them to progress much further because TVA was in no position to negotiate. TVA's not going to negotiate, and TVA knew that we were hoping to, in the Park and Rec committee, some of y'all may be on it, they kind of wanted to put feelers out for the city, see if somebody would be willing to step up and do it. The evaluation the county had from our standpoint is, and again, I guess it's part of our background of evaluating our assets. This is a very valuable asset to the community.
Yes.
We kind of felt that we're operating at about a 3 out of a potentially 10, and we felt, okay, if a city can go to a 5 instead of a 3, it's even a bigger and better asset for our community. So when that took place, then we decided to ask the cities, and we knew we couldn't transfer the license to them, but we started asking the cities, would you all be interested in doing it? And one city was really stepped up and thought, yes, that they would. I really think that the city will look for a lease instead of a license under their agreement. Because a license on TVA property, we have the same thing at Raleigh Creek. It's a 60-day exit by either party. Where you have a lease, it goes generally, if it's to another municipality, not to the private sector, but to municipality, it's a 30-year lease with a 30-year renewal with a option for another 30-year, or 25 to 25. It's long enough of a term that someone would be willing to make a long-term investment in it. The issue that the county has, and most counties across the state do, is most of your recreation departments, your programmed sports, is really operated inside cities instead of county governments. Just because that's something that's just not in our wheelhouse of expertise, and we have no way to really generate revenue from it as a city would, because your hotels, your restaurants, and all that's in cities, and they get that added sales tax, hotel motel tax. They can take concessions that we can't take, and such as that. So we were hoping that the value of the asset would improve with more participation from the community if a city was running. And it seems like we have a city that's willing to step up.
Ms. Bell.
I would like to see us keep it till one of the cities, we got two heads here for the city, Kingston and Harriman, here tonight, comes to us and say they're in negotiation or they do want it. where it looks good before we take a chance of losing it. So that's the way I stand. That's all.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I think the resolution is before us that we have to release, for lack of better terms, we have to release their ownership before the cities can start the negotiation with PDA. And I think that was what was discussed when it came up last month. Right now, we have the licensing for the TVA property. And as long as there's licensing there, and I'd be willing, and this may be outside of the scope, and I'd be willing to let both of the mayors that are here tonight just speak in general terms as to where they're at. But we have to release it before they can move forward.
Anyone else?
Either of you all would go ahead, Mr. Chris. Then.
Yeah, if any of y'all would like to address the commission on this issue, please come forward.
Mayor Wayne Best, City of Harriman. We met with TVA today to talk about some of this. This was one of the things we looked at. And as Mr. Woody stated, if we go in the negotiations with them, you all have to come out of the lease. I will say that what we're looking at is not a license, we're looking at leasing. We looked at 30 to 50 years, and they're going back to see if they can do a 50-year lease, but it's true, you all have to come out, but we have started talking to TVA as of today. I don't know if that helps or not.
Helps 100%.
It's, and I can't tell you that Harriman's going to do it. You know, we're looking at spending, you're going to spend $2 or $3 million on something that we can't buy the property and they won't give us the property. So the question is going to be, do we want to lease a piece of property that we're going to spend that much money on that won't be in the city of Harriman?
Mayor Best, before you leave, did they tell you, I'm kind of shocked that they were opening up in any negotiations at all. Did they say that before that they went any further that we would need to terminate our lease?
I didn't stay for the whole meeting. I was in another meeting. I came in the end of it. Just from what I gathered from it, before they'll go in and tell us how long we can get it, we all have to terminate. But the biggest thing, we're working on the time frame. I think you all have a 60-day lease, and you know, we wasn't no way we was going to lease for 60 days and invest that kind of money. But I didn't hear that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Bass.
I can speak for the city of Kingston that we do not right now have any interest in it. Felt like if that's something Harriman wanted to do, we found out, I think it was right for the city of Kingston. It really didn't come up for us to even vote on it. So that's where we're at.
Thank you, Mayor O'Neill. Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. East.
Matt, Mr. Woody, as election time coming up, you're getting out. I mean, we're jumping ahead of ourselves here a whole lot on this contract.
And it's up to you all. I mean, we were just evaluating, I guess it may have come from our staff first. We were just evaluating our assets like we always do. And then we had a interest from the city, and that's the reason it's on the agenda. I mean, you all have the pleasure and the responsibility to do what you want to, and it doesn't.
Just got one city, right?
We just have one city interested in it. And I, quite frankly, I think TVA, if the relationship could not be cemented in with the city of Harriman, I think they would turn back to the county. But I mean, I can't speak for TVA. I just had spoke to him enough. It's like, Mr. Woody, we don't want to be negotiating with anybody because you all are at the table now, have the contract. We use it predominantly for soccer, and that's it. There's a festival field over there. I don't know whether there's been a festival. There's been a race or two that we've had over there, but other than that, it's a very valuable asset that is underutilized. If we can get anybody to utilize it more than us, I think it's a plus for the citizenship of Rome County, and even some of our neighbors are using it.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, so I guess there's so many people that's involved in this. I just want to make sure, because I know that's going to affect. If we were to terminate this, would that impact, such as AYSO that affects hundreds of kids in this county, would that terminate them being able to utilize that field? That might be an attorney question on that. Do you, if we terminate our lease agreement or with TVA, and we're out in 60 days, we pull out for their negotiations, is that going to, are they going to cease action where AYSO can't use those facilities? Would you know that?
Let me try to answer that question.
It may be a complex question.
Well, if you go back and look at the history of the fields over there, TVA has had a softball field and soccer fields for generations. And those soccer fields and baseball field they had was no license with the county and no license with the city. It was probably a whole lot like Lakeshore Park. They were recreation facilities owned, managed, run by TVA, which meant that at that time, we had no tax money in it whatsoever, where now we are investing tax money in it and just are not getting, in my mind, the value we need to out of the dollar of the investment we have. So I can't, that's not answering the question, but probably for 5 decades prior to that, TVA provided the fields at their cost.
I did understand that.
If the county rescinds this license, then it would be up to TVA to decide what it wanted to do with the property. Whether it leased it to a city or whether TVA kept it open or whether TVA closed it, that would be solely TVA's decision.
Mr. Bell, you have something else?
So, for Mayor Best, another question. Do you have any type of time frame on what you think action would be from Harriman City on this? Because we're right here at Spring, and we don't want the kids to be without. And to take it the chance that TVA might let us use the field, I'm not willing for that. But I mean, do you know if it's going to be within 6 months or a year or?
If we move on it, we'll move quick. As I said, we started our talks with TVA today. It was limited back and forth. The biggest thing that we're looking at is how long that lease is. As I said, to invest the money and invest taxpayers' money, it's got to be a long-term lease. And I feel the same way about the county. You guys, if you're going to invest the money, it needs to be a long-term lease, not a 60-day out lease. But it is what it is. We'll move quick if we do something, but the biggest thing is selling it to our people that we don't own the property and it's not inside the city limits of Harriman. We'll have some hoops to jump through, but we are negotiating with TVA on what they can do with the property. We won't just use the soccer fields. It will be baseball, softball fields, a football field. We'll do some different things with it. An event space, so we're looking at a lot of different stuff with it. But we'll move quick if we can do something.
Do you think that holding this off a month will hurt you all in your negotiations?
No.
Thank you.
Mr. Hooks. Wayne, I think he had another question. Mr. Hooks has a question.
Just real quick, I wanted to ask you, Mayor, if you entered the negotiations with TVA, could that be part of your all's negotiations? If we release it, that you could negotiate with TVA to try to make sure that the fields during the time period of the negotiations are not closed. I mean, the fields are not closed.
Could the negotiations be that while we're negotiating, the fields would be
That
open?
TVA would leave the fields open. Not any responsibilities to the city of Harriman or anyone, that TVA would leave the fields open.
I mean, that could be part of the negotiation, but there again, you can't speak for what TVA will do or how they'll do it. I do think that, as Ron said, I think that TVA, no matter who's there, is going to keep those fields open. And I say that because there's a lot of money in those fields. You know, you got to keep those things up, you got to keep them mowed, and I don't think they're just going to walk off and leave them. But I understand y'all's issues. And we've talked about it. I don't know what you do and which way you go, but I do know that if it's going to continue to be a complex, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done to make it the best it can be, and instead of sitting there as it is now. I think right now you've got soccer that you use, it could be used for a whole lot more.
So if I may, this may be somewhat of a compromise that maybe it would help. The resolution, I think, was filed maybe in November, which would have given us time to kind of sort this out. And maybe it would help the discussion or not, that if it was approved with a date when it would take place, that at least, like Commissioner Bell says, get us through the soccer season. Soccer season, when is it over anyway? Is it June?
It goes on. Whenever you play much soccer.
I'm not so sure when.
Fall.
Huh?
It goes in fall.
Okay.
That probably wouldn't be those positions if you go for a while.
I mean, if it was, you could pass with the language that on, August the 1st, the county will, provide a notice to TVA that we want out of the agreement in 60 days. Then what you have is you have a resolution that TVA has been put on notice that we're going to terminate at a day certain. That allows Harriman and TVA to negotiate. It also gives us the window of 6 to 8 months to continue to operating under normal conditions, keeps the soccer season going. That's just an option. If it's amenable to commission, if you could make that as an amendment, it's quite up to you, whatever y'all want to do.
What do you think about putting it off a month and then rewriting it? Maybe.
Mr. Chairman, let me just pull a resolution.
Okay. Anybody have any objections to the resolution being pulled? Okay, resolution's been pulled. I have a request that we take about a 5-minute break. So if you don't care, let's meet back in here at 5 after, and then we'll pick up with the ARP resolution, the Comcast. Okay, we are now back in session.
Glad I know I'm that important.
You weren't until just now. Okay, resolutions 1121-16, 1121-17. I'd like to defer to Mr. Woody on those.
So those were two resolutions, one with Comcast, one with Twin Lakes, that we filed in November. I would like to pull those at this time because we have refiled those two resolutions with more updated numbers on a little later in the agenda. So I will pull those at this time.
Okay, so those are pulled and will be refiled, correct?
They have been filed and on the agenda.
Okay, gotcha. All right. We're under new business and resolution 2-22-01, which is a resolution electing a chairman of the Roane County Commission and setting compensation for chairman. I'd like to ask that that be moved to next meeting. Obviously, we only have 8 people here in attendance, and I think this is something that needs consideration by as many commissioners as possible so they can have their input. So I'd like to pull that and refile it. Any objections? Okay, that is pulled. We are now on resolution 2-22-02, a resolution adopting a portion of Long Road into the Roane County roadway system. I got a phone call today from the highway department recommended that we do accept this, and it passed, apparently passed the road committee as well. So we do have a motion. Is this current motions?
Yes.
Yes.
Is this current motions? Motion by Bell, second by Wilson. Commissioner Bell?
Been a long time coming.
Yeah, I've heard it's been on the, been kicking around for many, many years, correct?
Yes, I've been stirring the weeds for a long time, and I'm glad that whatever wheels got greased are greased, and these people are owed it. They got a nice road out there, a nice subdivision, so.
Okay, Commissioner Wilson.
No, I concur with what was being said. It's been a long time coming for them.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. East?
Do they have the regulations or measurements of the road and everything now?
They do.
That's been a holdup for a long time,
They do.
but they do have them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'd just like to say, Mr. Chairman, that it has been a long time coming, and a lot of the commissioners have worked tirelessly on this, and part of it was one of those situations that 2/3 of the road was county, and the back end of the road, the remainder third was just a gravel road, and it's developed into a nice area out there, nice subdivision, and I'm just honored that you guys have stepped up with me, and we're going to make this happen.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. Let's vote. Resolution passes. Next up is Resolution 2-22-03, a resolution approving a fire service contract between American Green Fuels, Rockwood, Tennessee, LLC, and the City of Rockwood. Mr. Blackfew, I did have a question about that, but I read the resolution, and it appears that even though this is a contract between this company and the City of Rockwood, the way the statute reads, it requires our approval as well.
Yes, this facility is outside the city limits. We have a statute that allows industrial facilities to contract with cities to provide fire service for their facility, but since it's outside the city limits, County Commission has to approve it.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Bell, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Bell?
Nothing.
Commissioner White?
I have nothing to add.
Anyone else? Okay, let's vote. Resolution is approved. Next resolution is 02-22-04, a resolution approving a contract of obligation in lieu of performance bond regarding the Roane County Sanitary Landfill. We have a motion by Commissioner Bell, second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Bell?
Nothing.
Nothing, Commissioner Hooks?
I have nothing. It's been to the
It has
budget
been to-
committee. Budget committee recommends adoption.
Okay, anyone else have any questions, comments? Vote. That's approved. Next, Resolution 2-22-05, a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute a 3-year agreement with Stryker Pro Care Services for the purpose of providing a maintenance program for the power cots used in the EMS department. We have a motion by Commissioner Bell, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Bell?
Nothing.
Commissioner White?
I have nothing to add.
Anyone else? Let's vote. Commissioner Hooks? Resolution is approved.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
before we move any further, would it be all right if we covered, skip to 15 and 16? I think we have a lot of people here that's waiting on the broadband, that probably has to work in the morning, that's here specifically for that.
Anyone have any objections?
I think it's on the broadband, I think it's 15 and
Right, it
16.
is, it is. Anyone have any objections to skipping ahead and then coming back? Okay, let's go to resolution 15, which is project, I guess it's our project, 15 amended Comcast broadband.
Is that gonna cause you any confusion, Amber? Let's wait and see if she's gonna. Since we have so many. It is, we can.
Got it? Very good. Okay, again, that's project 15 amended Comcast broadband. We have a motion by Commissioner Bell, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Commissioner Bell?
Another long time coming. I know the ARP still money out of our pockets, but it's much needed. We're at a deficit here in Roane County for broadband. We need to do whatever we can with the money that we've got gave to us, but it is taxpayers' money, but I understand that. But I'm glad we got it gave to us so we can use it for broadband purposes.
Anything else?
A portion of it, that's it.
Commissioner Cunningham?
No problem.
Commissioner, Mr. Whittaker, or Mr. Hooks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, just real quick. Places like Marble Bluff, Lackawanna, the rural areas out on the east end of the county that the snail crawls faster than broadband. And I'm going to support this 100%.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Whittaker.
Let me just say a couple things about this one, because these were the two that we pulled earlier that we filed in, I guess, November, and these are just amending the amounts. One went up a little bit, one went down, so it's just kind of clarifying that. But just bear in mind what's happening here, because we had both Comcast and Twin Lakes. Twin Lakes is, I guess, a subsidiary or formed by VEC, and it is south of Kingston. Comcast is the remainder part of the county. So both companies are having to make grant applications to the state of Tennessee. And the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development has indicated that these are competitive grants. So just because I just want everybody to be clear, just because we're passing this doesn't mean the grants will be awarded. So what will happen, and I think it's in March is their deadline, both Twin Lakes and Comcast, this is the Comcast one, so I won't have to say this on the next one, will make applications to the state of Tennessee to draw down funds to try to get an award. ECD has advised that it is in the best interest of counties and communities to have skin in the game, to be a partnership of it, and they were asking for 10%. So in this case, the Comcast, if you look, is right at almost $10 million, $939,300,000. We have 10% of that. Comcast has a percentage, and then we'll draw the rest, try to get an award from the state. So the same thing, you'll look at the next one. The Twin Lakes is not doing the entire part of south of Kingston. They've been both Comcast and Twin Lakes have had awards from the state on grants such as these. But Twin Lakes will be in the most eastern part of south of the river. You also have a Spectrum down there now, okay? Comcast will take the entire part of the county. I think that the deployment, based on what they say, would probably be in the high 90% of what they will be able to do fiber to house. And that being said, it's not going to be all the way to the house if you're a mile off the road, but it's going to basically take care of most everything. Bear in mind, they are competitive grants. This money we're setting aside to be partners with them. If the grants are unsuccessful, this money gets released again for us to do other projects or to try to invest again with them. But they are competitive grants.
Thank you. Mr. Woody, so based on what you're saying, for them to continue with their grant process, they have to have our commitments. Is that correct?
They can submit without our commitment. What we're saying is we want to be committed so they can be a whole lot higher, have a higher probability of success in doing the projects.
Exactly. Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution passes. Next would be Resolution 2-22-16, Project 16 amended, Twin Lakes broadband.
And this one is $500,000 and ditto on whatever I said a while ago.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you for first, great opportunity, long time coming, I say we move forward with it.
Commissioner White.
Nothing to add, sir.
Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution passes. Okay, let's go back now where we stopped, which will get us to Resolution 02-22-06, a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute a 3-year agreement with Leads Online for the Rome County Sheriff's Department. We have a motion by Commissioner Hooks, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Commissioner Hooks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been before the Budget Committee. The Budget Committee recommends adoption. And what this will do, it'll just better enhance the Sheriff Department in tracking criminal activity electronically within their department and help with the investigations.
Thank you, Commissioner Cunningham.
Nothing further.
Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution passes. Next, Resolution 2-22-07, a resolution amending the General Purpose School Fund 141, reflecting changes in revenue expenditure estimates for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. We have a motion by Commissioner Hooks. Second by Commissioner Cunningham. Commissioner Hooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a budget cleanup item, and it has been before the Budget Committee, and the Budget Committee recommends adoption.
Commissioner Cunningham.
Nothing further.
Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution passes. That brings us to Resolution 2-22-08, a resolution amending the Central Cafeteria Fund 143, reflecting changes in revenue and expenditure estimates for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. We have Commissioner Bell making the motion, Commissioner Cunningham making the second. Commissioner Bell?
And then the right committee, I'm good with it.
Commissioner Cunningham?
Nothing further.
Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution passes. Next up, Resolution 2-22-09, a resolution amending the Education Capital Projects Fund 177, reflecting changes in revenue and expenditure estimates for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. We have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Bell. Commissioner Wilson.
Clean up.
Clean up. Commissioner Bell. Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution passes. That brings us to Resolution 2-22-10, a resolution to amend the General Fund 101, Special Purpose Fund 121, which is Fire Animal, Drug Fund 122, Recycling / Landfill Fund 128, Highway / Public Works Fund 133, Joint Venture Fund 357, General Capital Projects Fund vehicles and the wastewater tank 204 due to changes in revenue and expenditure estimates. We have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Wilson.
Further, it's a cleanup. We'll vote.
Commissioner Hooks. Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution passes. And resolution 2-22-11, resolution to reflect the revenue received from the land sale of the Tri-County Industrial Park to appropriate the funds necessary to pay out the debt incurred to purchase the land. Motion by Commissioner Bell, second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Bell. Nothing. Commissioner Hooks.
Been before the budget committee recommends adoption.
And Mr. Woody, from what I understand, this is as per our bond agreement?
That is correct.
Okay. Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution passes. Resolution 2-22-12, a resolution that accepts the changes that have made by the state of the other local health department where Roane County is to hire a social counselor and an assistant. Motion by Bell, second by Hooks. Commissioner Bell?
No.
Commissioner Hooks?
This is for our health department, budget committee recommends adoption.
And if I remember right, this is for a 3-year period grant.
Yes.
Money, correct?
I said I thought it was, and Laura Connor's here. Was this a 3-year grant?
It's an ongoing, we've got the DGA grant that is an annual thing, and it just adds a position to that.
We're glad Laura we're honored to have her with us today at the health, from the health department. She's our health director. And let's don't have her stay too long. She may be asking for some more money here in just a minute.
No doubt about it. Okay. Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution is adopted. Now to resolution 02-22-13, a resolution amending the ARC Master Resolution 08-21-01 and resolution 10-21-12. We have a motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Cunningham?
First, Woody.
Mr. Woody?
So let me just explain this just a little bit. We have a master resolution out there that kind of gives us the guiding principles on how we're to manage these funds. There are 2 items in here. One of them, the second item, let me take it first, is the lost revenue that we had to calculate to claim to make the money basically to untie most of the restrictions on it. When the federal government came out with their final rule, they said you could take the first $10 million and claim that as lost revenue, and that loosens up the strings up on all of it. We had previously set up a sub-fund for the lost revenue. It's only pertinent now that we just bring that back with the regular money, since most all restrictions have came off of those funds. The first item on there is just will help us manage this. When we adopt the budgets as a legislative body, that money stays as a budget item until you have an amendment to take the funds out. And sometimes it may take several months before we can get budget amendments prepared for this. What this does is it makes it a whole lot easier for you all and us to track. It basically says, okay, we've got a project out there. It's the building of the ambulance stations. If they come in under budget or $100,000, this will immediately allow us to reduce that budget and set those monies aside so you all can reappropriate it. It does not give us money authority to reappropriate it. It gives you all authority. So it will help us doing our accounting and budget to make it clearer when we come to you all how much money is available. Because if we have a lot of budgets out there, that there's money available that comes you know, at any point in time, we could have money that we could be programming, but we're not aware of it. So this just allows us to do a kind of a house cleaning and help the budget process and the planning process a whole lot better. Streamlined.
Will this allow us to move a little quicker on?
It should allow the commission to move a little quicker on how much, at least understand how much money you have to deal with. Because if you don't do it, then you do not have this money to apply for other projects.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Let's vote. Resolution passes. Now we're to Resolution 2-22-14, a resolution that will close out sub-fund 171 ARR to reflect the changes that have been approved in the final rule of the American Recovery Plan of the U.S. Department of Treasury on January 6, 2022. We have a motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Cunningham.
Burgess, Woody.
Mr. Woody.
Same deal. This shows the accounting where we're closing this sub-fund and moving it back into the regular account.
Mr. Hooks.
Into the budget committee.
There you go. Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution passes. Now that takes us to 18 because we've already gotten 15 and 16 out of the way, or 17 rather. Resolution 17, I was looking at project 18. Resolution 2-22-17, project 18, TDEC, a resolution to establish sub-fund 171 DEC that will reflect the operations of the TDEC 5.3 million federal portion of the Water Infrastructure Investment Plan and the county's 2.3 million required match from the ARP funds. We have a motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Cunningham?
Defer to
I
Mr.
knew
Woody.
that's what you wanted to do.
So I don't know, I can't remember who all I talked with about this, if we did this last month or so, but the State Department of Environment Conservation has received a whole lot of state money, federal money too, and they want to deploy that into the counties. And they have a priority list that they want, and the first one is if any water, wastewater is in non-compliance, they want to prioritize that. Then it goes to I&I, and then it goes down to various things. So there's a scorecard that every utility has to complete to find out what their weakness is and then submit proposals. But in the process of doing all this, the state, even though counties by and large do not have utilities, and we do have one which is a wastewater plant. We're one of 5 counties in the state that have a wastewater plant. The state still look to the counties to administer these funds and to work with the utilities on these projects. And here's the carrot they said. The state says we have $5.3 million if Rome County will put up roughly we've rounded it up a few $1,000s, but it's 2.3 million. The state says we'll give you 5.3. And then the county will have to work with the utilities to determine priorities of the utilities, and we're dealing with about 14 utilities. Actually we're dealing with about 7 or 8 utilities, but some of them have joint water and sewer. So we've had our first meeting with our utilities. We've came up to some type of informal agreement on how we're going to proceed. But the first thing the county commission has to do, and this has been before the ARC committee, it's recommended by the ARC committee, the first thing county commission has to do is say, yes, we're willing to put money in to draw this other money down. So of our American Rescue money, 10.3 million, we're spending a lot of it tonight. You know, we've allocated 1.5 to broadband, and now this is 2.3. We're going to set it aside as we work with the utilities to draw money down. And the added component of this is that the cities that have utilities they have their own art money like we do, and they also have TDEC money they can draw down like we do. So we're looking at a $7.6 million infrastructure investment in Roane County. The cities will have something very similar to that. So we could get and I did the calculations, $15 million of investment in infrastructure from really federal money. We may have some other utilities, either that are city utilities or standalone utilities, that may also want to chump some change into this. So before it's all said and done, we could have $20 million. There is a priority list. We have to work with TDEC. We have to work together. And we had our first meeting with our utilities, and Commissioner Berry represented the commission there. And we have another meeting with all our utilities on the 23rd, I think. And we meet during the day, and we'll meet for a few hours, I'm sure. And throw things at each other and all that, but we'll get it worked out. But this is saying the county is willing to help all of our utilities inside and outside cities.
Any other questions? Mr. East?
This may not be time to do this, but have we ever done anything about the landfill going to the sewer plant?
So that's a very good question. We still have ARP money that's set aside that has not been programmed. We meet with TDEC regarding our landfill and with our engineers. It may be Wednesday of this week, and it may be next week. I forget, but we have a meeting scheduled with them as we go forward, because we have a landfill that's been closed 20 some odd years. We're having some leachate issues that's coming to our wastewater plant. And quite frankly, this $7.6 million all could go to our wastewater plant if we wanted to, because we own a wastewater plant. We also own a landfill. This money's not eligible for the landfill, but the other ARP money would be. So we will probably have to make an investment in a resolution you all passed before. We didn't discuss much. We discussed it in budget committee. It was a contract in lieu of performance bond, where the state recognizes our liability and says, we basically passed that resolution and said, instead of borrowing money and setting it aside, we will do what it needs to be done to fix that, whatever problem we may have or develop. And, we're always having to mow it. We're always having to do testing up there.
Thank you, that's all.
Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution passed. Resolution 2-22-18, Project 19, a resolution to establish sub-fund 171-HEA that will reflect and account for the operations of American Rescue Fund and State Department of Health funds for improvements at the Roane County Health Department. Motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Cunningham.
So Laura's still here. So here's another great project. The State Department of Health basically said, county, if you'll put up 25%, we'll put up 75% on a project, up to $3 million. We already have approved a project for some HVAC systems at the health department of $200,000. We want to take that $200,000. We want to move it to another sub account now. We want to add 50 to it to start out down there with $1 million, and hopefully $1 million will solve any problem Laura has down there. She's liable to come back and say, give me another $1 million. But we're starting out small with a $250,000 investment to pull down $750,000 from the state. Laura is there, and this is more ARP money.
Any questions?
Yeah.
We'll need to do a voice vote on this, because we're talking about 18 and 19 is showing on the screen.
Okay.
Just do it.
Yeah, this is Resolution 18, Project 19.
Right.
Yeah.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, let's vote.
Bell.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Yes.
East.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Hooks.
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
And Wilson.
Yes.
Yay.
Motion passes, the resolution passes. Okay, now we're to resolution 222-19, which is Project 20, bidding and engineering costs for the HVAC system and cooling towers in the courthouse, sheriff's office, and juvenile center. A motion by Cunningham, I know what she's going to do with it, and second by White. Commissioner Cunningham.
So this is some more of the ARP funds, which is the American Rescue Plan money. And this is where we have bid out projects and they're coming in over budget. Inflation is snapping our heels right now. So this is programming some more funds for the HVAC system for the courthouse, jail, and juvenile. Engineering and construction. $131,000.
Okay, Commissioner White.
Nothing to add, sir.
Commissioner Ferguson.
Ronnie, is this the one that's done had 300 and something $1,000 appropriated for that?
I think we have a total of about 700,000 for the three, well, that's what the health department did. So, yeah, we've got we've got units at the jail, at the courthouse, cooling tower, and juvenile center over here, and part of it is, that's a 300.
I guess my question is, when they bidded that, have we done appropriated some before that?
Oh, yeah, we have appropriated.
Is this gonna be something that's gonna be every month, or is this gonna be something that should take care of it?
I
this
think it's a
time?
very astute question. The answer is yes. Every time we go to bid, we're finding out that whatever we put in for it, it hadn't been done. The superintendent, LaDonna McFalls, I think she's gone, but Lynn, they bid a roof out at one of our schools, and I don't know how long it took for the contractor to get a hold of them, a couple of months, and then the contractor says, sorry, we can't get materials.
Are we just going ahead and awarding the bid, and then whatever they bid it for, we're doing everything coming back and put money in there to keep it going? Is that kind of?
We don't, well, no, we can't award until we have money set aside for the award. So if we have an estimate of 200,000, it comes in at 225, 250, we have to come back before this body to release that money before we can do the jobs.
Any other questions, comments? Ms. Glover? Resolution passes. That brings us to the end of our agenda. I want to really thank everyone who's able to make it tonight, and we got a lot of work done that needed to be done. So, anyway, we have a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn. Say aye.